Do you ever have those days where you're riding home from work and you miss the exit to turn home? And then you miss the next exit, and then you miss the next exit, and then the last exit to get home finally comes around and you miss that one. You keep riding. That's one of the days I'm having today. Originally I wasn't going to stop over and record this video, but I felt like I had to get something off my chest. You've probably seen a recent video from Ryan F9 at FortNine Motorcycles post a video called "Is Harley Davidson Killing Itself?" Now, if you haven't seen Ryan F9's video, I'm going to leave a link to that in the description below. And I highly recommend you check that out. It is a fantastically produced piece of video content. It is informative, the production quality is incredible, and it's really hard to deny some of the points that he's bringing up. This seems to be a topic in circulation quite frequently at the moment. Is Harley Davidson dying? Is it losing its customers? Is this the end of the motor company? As a young Harley Davidson rider, these thoughts, these ideas have been running through my brain, and I wanted to share a few of them with you. But I don't want to talk about those ideas here. I think it's best to discuss what it means to ride a Harley Davidson and the future of Harley Davidson whilst riding a Harley Davidson. Let's go. Alrighty, so I could probably talk about Harley Davidson, motorcycles, business, marketing, branding. I could talk about all that stuff for hours. Maybe one day I will on a podcast. But I want to keep it simple for this video. I want to talk about my ideas surrounding Harley Davidson into three categories. I want to talk about the misunderstanding about the bikes as they are now. I want to talk about the branding, marketing, and culture of Harley Davidson. And finally, I want to talk about where I think things might go in the future. Okay, so first thing, I think there is a misunderstanding about why people ride Harley Davidson motorcycles. Now, yes, some people will ride them just because of the brand, and I have no problem with that, nor should anyone. But also, many people will ride Harley Davidson motorcycles because they enjoy the ride that it gives. It seems to be that as motorcyclists, it's very easy for us to get caught up in very specific details about motorcycles, mainly their performance and the numbers that come with that. You know, how much horsepower is it putting out? You know, how many gadgets and electronics does it have? These are things that as motorcyclists we might care about, but people who don't really care too much about, you know, riding fast or racing or the nitty-gritty of motorcycles, those are the people who just care about, you know, a bike that looks good and feels good to ride, and maybe, yeah, it makes them feel cool, and they just enjoy the ride that it provides. And I think that's why a lot of people ride Harleys, and that's why I ride a Harley. I love the way it looks. I think it's the most beautiful bikes on the road. They're a piece of art, and it's hard to say that about a lot of other bikes. They seem to put practicality and numbers, performance first, which is completely fine. It's a completely different type of motorcycle, but it doesn't negate the fact that there's a place in the market for bikes that look beautiful and provide a less performance-driven ride and more of a ride that engages the senses and the soul. And that's cliche, I know, but if you've ridden a Harley Davidson, and if you've ridden a Harley Davidson long distance, you really know what I'm talking about. The second thing I wanted to talk about was a brand and culture around Harley Davidson. Now, when I go out to work in the city and I see young people walking around, they're not wearing BMW t-shirts, Triumph, Suzuki, Honda, Yamaha t-shirts. They're all wearing Harley Davidson t-shirts. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I see 20 or so Harley Davidson t-shirts a day. And probably 99% of those are worn by young people who have probably never thrown their leg over a motorcycle before. Now, yeah, we might scorn and just say, well, that's because Harley's just a brand, but I would respond with, Harley Davidson is the motorcycle brand. And the reason I say that is, people who don't ride motorcycles, if you ask them to name a brand, Harley Davidson is probably going to be the first motorcycle brand that they mention. It's a brand that everybody knows. It is synonymous with two wheels. And that's really important, particularly when it comes to getting new riders onto the bikes. Some people just want to ride motorcycles maybe to commute, or maybe just to ride long distance and enjoy camping on a motorcycle, or just traveling on a motorcycle, or maybe they just want to own a motorcycle because it looks cool, it makes them feel cool, and that makes them happy. Maybe that's the case. But to deny the importance of Harley Davidson as the poster child brand of motorcycling is ridiculous. It's important, and Harley Davidson, I hope, will recognize that they play a leadership role when it comes to recruiting new riders and making sure that our industry is here for a long time. And I hope that the new CEO looks at that as they start to reshape their branding and marketing going forward. I want Harley Davidson to get back to telling the story of why we ride two wheels, why we ride Harleys, to get out on the open road and clear the mind and, God, like, get in touch with the soul and feel the wind and just get out of the busyness of the world. You know, stop looking at our phones and engaging with social media. Just get in touch with nature and get in touch with who we are as individuals. That's the story I believe Harley Davidson used to tell, and it's the story and the culture that Harley Davidson stands for. And I think they've lost sight of that in recent years, and I hope that they can get in touch with that going forward. One thing I would definitely bring up as well is that Ryan F9 and maybe Yami more so brought up the fact that Harley riding is more about riding solo and less about, you know, social cohesion and riding with a group or riding with friends. And firstly I respond and say there's nothing wrong with riding alone. It's one of the best experiences you can have on a motorcycle, especially if you ride a long distance and maybe even go camping up by yourself. Secondly, I would just say that what they're saying is wrong. There is a huge social culture in Harley Davidson riding, particularly with the upcoming vibrant culture surrounding Sportsters, Softails, Diners, converting them into club style bikes with MX bars and performance cams and performance suspension. That is a huge underground movement that is growing with popularity rapidly. And what makes that so cool is that it's all about riding with your buddies, going out and tearing up the canyons on the weekend, going out and going camping off the back of your motorcycles, traveling across country together as friends. So yes, there is a huge social culture in the Harley Davidson world, and I think it's the culture that is going to actually bring the brand forward in the future. So the last point that I would bring up is the future of Harley Davidson, in my opinion, and really responding to Ryan F9's video, is Harley Davidson killing itself? I don't think they're killing themselves, but I think they're changing. I think it's time for a change. I don't think it can be business as usual for Harley Davidson anymore. In general, I think Harley Davidson will start to downsize its operations. I think that we'll start to see more of a streamlined offering from the motor company. Hopefully that means more focused, more refined motorcycles, but less options. And I think this will impact dealers as well. I think we're going to see a lot of dealers go under. I think we're going to maybe even see the dealership model finish completely. Perhaps Harley will adopt more of a niche approach to selling their motorcycles, like Tesla, being privately owned dealers, holding very little stock, and you know, allowing bikes to be built to order. A lot of people point at the price of Harleys as being the reason that they are suffering so much. And I get, yeah, they're expensive bikes, but I don't think that is the case. You know, I see young people spending tens and thousands of dollars a year on, you know, traveling and electronics, camera gear, computer gear. And I think that that's something that motorcycles have to compete with now. We're not just competing with other forms of transport, we're competing with other forms of hobbies and interests. Anyway, look, those are just a few of my ideas after watching Ryan F9's video and Yami's commentary. I wanted to get my ideas out there, my thoughts out there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Get out and ride if you can, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, peace.